folks, and welcome to our channel, should I say. Get used to saying my, don't I? It's our channel. And video 3 of the 6 Tudor wives, which is, drum roll, Jane Seymour. Yes, I have done some stuff I think I did. Have I done a Jane Seymour channeling on YouTube? I can't remember. Sure, I did. I think I did. I did. And in that Jane Seymour channeling, it came through that Chelsea Davy, who was one of Prince Harry's ex-girlfriends, had a lifetime as Jane Seymour. And the strangest thing happened around about Mother's Day. Mother's Day in the UK. Sure, Mother's Day in the UK. Chelsea posted a picture of her and her children, and they looked great. And then Meghan posted something very similar. And at the time, I think I heard silent whispers about it, and I was like, I don't need to look at that, and it might be made up anyway, so I'm not interested. And then I actually, somehow it came back into my vision, and I thought I'm going to Google that and have a look. And Meghan's picture came after Chelsea's. So interesting. We know that past life connection between them both. Meghan, as in Anne Boleyn, Jane Seymour, as in Chelsea Davy. As I've just tuned into her energy, one of the things she showed me was her death scene, and it was brutal. And it feels as though it was a lot more brutal than we have been told or understand. And one of the things I felt when looking at this death scene was that everything that happened to Jane in that giving birth of Prince Edward, who then became King Edward, it was all down to a lack of medicine or a lack of medical knowledge at the time. And it feels as though had Jane Seymour given birth today, she wouldn't have died. Because she showed me all of the people around her giving birth while she was giving birth, and all of the people that were looking after her in the days afterwards. And they really didn't know what they were doing. Um, there's also an energy of it. And this is really sad, of actually not wanting, certain people not wanting to face that she was ill and more serious, because nobody really wanted to upset the king, who was Henry VIII at the time. Um, what else can the death scene show me? There was something in her lung like a clot. Obviously, I'm not in any way a medical person, so it's going to be in layman terms. There's something to do with giving birth, the blood, because we know she lost a lot of blood. I mean, in the book that I've just read, which is Alison Weir, and I do know the Six Tudor Queens is not historical fact, it's fiction. Um, she got diarrhea or a sickness thing, and she was rushing to the toilet and she was bleeding, and they think that and all of that and pushing caused something to become dislodged, as in being sick. Um, but there's something with clots with Jane, and it's in the lungs. And once it's in the lungs, that's it. It's game over. Um, where are we going next with Jane Seymour? I've been shown that one of the things that the wives, I mean, especially the wives that died, could never get their heads around and struggled with was the fact that there was barely any, even letting the body go cold. And you can say the same for, Jane married Henry. I mean, like days, I think it was after whoosh, of Anne Boleyn. But there was this brutality of how quickly he moved on, how quickly the systems moved on. And even like she's saying, how quickly history moved on. How quickly history moved on. What do you mean by that? How quickly history moved on? It's how we devour the queens without really thinking of them as human beings. That if we allowed ourselves to think of them as human beings, we would really see the brutality of it. I'm being shown that she really didn't love Henry. And that again, very similar to other wives, it was the masculine energies around her father's brothers, etc. That pieces of chess pieces on a board. Claire, get it right. Um, bringing these two together. This is interesting. I'm seeing an energy of her being told that Anne's not going to be beheaded. I can't make sense of this. Not being told that Anne's going to be beheaded, but she gets beheaded, and then it's brushed over. It's almost like, don't think of that. Don't just let that go. Don't you're thinking too deeply, that type of energy. She's also saying that many people feared Anne. So by the time it came to her transition, there wasn't a lot of kindness towards Anne. I'm also feeling, as when I said Chelsea then, not Chelsea, Jane Seymour, I'm also feeling that Jane Seymour had some anxiety. Um, After marrying Henry and the anxiety of being in that court. Obviously, she'd seen Catherine of Aragon, and then what happened with Jane Seymour. Let's pull some cards. Jane Seymour. Let's have a look at what life was like before she married Henry VIII. In fact, before she even came onto his radar. Okay. What was life like for Jane Seymour before she came onto the radar of Henry VIII? Interesting. Queen of Swords. This feels like a mother energy to me. I'm going to do a clarifier on that. Seven of Cups in reverse, illusion, releasing illusion. Let's keep pulling. The Knights, the Knight of Wands. Is this the energy of people feeling she's too good to just marry a knight of the court? The Moon, the illusion. I'll just do six. Another Queen card, Queen of. Oh, right, yeah. These are the two queens. Um, Queen Catherine of Aragon, the Queen of Pentacles, then the beheading of Anne, and the Star in reverse, which is, the femininity in reverse. Chastity, not one of my words, but there you go. And the Hanged Man, all of the executions that were happening. So it's feeling that there was never really a moment for Jane where life was good, life was free, life was playful, life was joyous. There's always been a horror story in her life from her earliest memories of a queen that's been cast aside. I'm going to keep pulling. You know what I'm like? Yes. Sun in reverse, so no joy. The pressure being put on her. This I feel is her brothers, and I know there was things going on with her brothers and rumors about one of the brothers' wives and her father and the battles within the family. Okay, let's look at life for Jane when she was a courting Henry VIII. So, what was it like for Jane Seymour to date or court Henry VIII? And this deck that I'm using is the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot. What was it like for Jane Seymour to date Henry VIII? Ooh, Two of Cups in reverse, so not a good thing. Now, this could be the relationship before, which was Henry and Anne, but this is a real out of alignment, very cold. There were some people that did support Anne, um, and history itself looks at Jane as in like, whoa, she was barely cold, but this isn't a love match in reverse, you know. Say, for example, you going on a first date with someone and you get this card after you come to me for a reading and you say, is this a long-term relationship? And I get this, it's like, oh, possibly not. You want that upright when you're dating somebody. Cups, Ace of Cups at the bottom. Yeah, the Queen had been disposed of. Queen Anne Boleyn, Queen of Wands in reverse. Having to defend herself. There's an energy of feeling quite dirty. Jane feeling quite dirty. Um, there's still the scent of Anne in Anne's rooms. There's still the royal jewels, which were Catherine's and then Anne's, um, and having to wear those jewels. Ooh. And even some of the dresses that Anne had worn were possibly taken apart and remodeled for Jane. Um, she never really got time to fully settle into the role. Strength and weakened. Wasn't a very strong match. That's interesting. The sword coming in, whoosh, the Frenchman's sword, and that is on my desk, placed, not on purpose, by the way, like that. So the beheading of a queen. King of Cups, emotions all over the place. That's interesting. Oh, I'm seeing like look at my face pulling. I'm seeing her brothers, and it's almost like they possibly haven't got the fingers crossed because I don't think they possibly did it back then. But it's like the energy of this could work. This could work. We know he's got rid of his first one and was quite brutal to her and possibly poisoned. We know he's definitely beheaded the last one, but with us, it's almost like they kind of knew that they were really putting their own sister in harm's way. Fated, destiny, releasing heartbreak, and Seven of Cups in reverse. Having to deal with a king whose emotions and needs were all over the place. Again, another wife that is bringing our attention back to the brain of Henry VIII and possible personality issues. Having to go into a court that is in turmoil. So we're dating someone here. We're dating a king. But life isn't good. We've got a king who is all about him and his needs and his wants and his desires, who will strive for anything to get it, who is determined to do all that he needs to do to bring that about at any cost. Okay. So, what was it like to actually be married? We kind of touched on that, but let's properly shuffle on it. What was it like to be married to Henry VIII? Yeah, it's all about these two cards have fallen out. It's all about his emotional needs, what he wants. What was it like to be married to Henry VIII? I'm hearing the words nightmare. It was a complete nightmare. I'm feeling she found it hard to love him. That many people were getting to a point where they were pretending to like and love him to keep them out of harm's way. It possibly feels as though there was an other person that he could have married. So there's a possibility of two queens, but he chose Jane. What was it like to be married to Henry VIII? A total shit show. Not knowing where you stand, not knowing what mood he is going to be on each day, having to make sense of this messy court. Like we've said before, all of the old memories from the old queen still there, the old jewels, the initials on the walls and in the carving, etc. Um, and it feeling too much. It feels too much. He was too much. And it feels as though the older he gets, the more he got too much. Eight of Cups in reverse, which is cold. When this card is upright, it's about deep spiritual meaning. It's about closing down a chapter of your life and moving on with grace. But in reverse, it's cold, calculated, heartless, lack of spirituality, lack of feeling, lack of compassion. It's brutality. Also, as well, manipulating emotions. Her emotions were being manipulated. See, I've just heard the word full on narcissist, and I don't know whether that was my own brain thinking he's a full on narcissist, or whether that was Jane going he was a full on narcissist. I know back then they wouldn't have had that, but channeling through my channel, we have that word now. Heartbreak, the swords, the energy of that death. You know, if you're following me, you know that energy is everything. What you give out into the world, you get back. To behead someone, your wife, I don't care what they've done, is brutal. And that wasn't going to leave them. And I feel as though the shadow of what he's done, not just to Anne, but to others as well, he was never able to clear it fully. And we know at the time of filming that his current, or one of his current incarnations, he's still struggling to clear it. And we get this card. Harry gets this card a lot. The Page of Swords in reverse. Again, that swords, the French swordman. Could even be as well that it feels really brutal to me, but it feels as though she could have even been threatened. Maybe not by Henry, but by others. It could have even been her own brothers. Look what happened to the last wife. Behave yourself. Keep your head down and your mouth shut. Because look what happened the last time. Um, She's pointing to her throat. That's interesting because the lungs, if you gave this video, the clot in um, the lungs and the throat chakra are very closely related. Um, she struggled with the throat chakra after Anne died. And that trauma that was in the throat chakra, because there will be trauma, Jane got a bit of that as well. Because remember, energy flows. You're going to wear her pearls, her chokers. You're going to have her dresses on. You're going to sleep in her bed. That energy is going to be there. And then we get the ace of she can't hide from the sword. And the fact that the king brought this upon his previous wife. It's there. It's in the palace rooms. It's in the bedroom. Um, she's saying as well one of the reasons why Prince Edward had so many health issues. It was because of the energy around them both when he was conceived. Do you know? We've got King of Cups as well. I feel as also as well there could be a kindness to Henry VIII. So you'd get this little glimmer of this can work. This can work. I know he's a tyrant. I know he heads for fun, um, but it can work. Maybe if I can just nurture this kindness, maybe I can make it work, bring about a change. Have boundaries in place, but I'm always going to be waiting. I'm always going to be looking over my shoulder. But maybe I can create a happy family. Maybe we can make it work. But it's not just Anne's death you're saying. It's everyone he's beheaded or burnt at the stake. And she can't get, she's saying there's the smell of death. There was a smell of death around him. And anybody that smelt that around someone knows. There's these moments where actually this can be God. His energy settled. And I feel as though this has something to do with Henry's mental issues. Um, where you got lucid moments, would it be lucid? I don't know. Moments where actually this can work. This we can make this work, but there's this energy of death around him. There's everyone, the ghosts of everyone he's killed, maimed, tortured, and she can't escape it. Also, as well, I feel this is her in the hospital bed. They wouldn't have had hospitals back then. Her birthing bed, which was actually her deathbed. So this is her in the deathbed, in the birth. See what I mean? In the birthing bed, and there's anxiety around it. The anxiety of carrying a child. What if it's a girl? That played a part in her physical health as well. It was too much. There was too much. Even though by the time she'd given birth to a boy, it had just got too overwhelming out in the cold energy. Five of Pentacles. I also feel as well he possibly had other women as well, and there was always someone being dangled in front of her. And possibly this has happened to all the queens. Ick. Right, so let's have some cards for the time of death. Because as well, also what I'm hearing is, even though she gave birth to a boy, this, who's going to say he's going to live? I mean, he didn't live until a man, but he lived for a bit. But who's going to say he's not going to die in cot death or something? So some cards for the time of her death. Some cards for the time of her death, Jane Seymour. Couldn't hold on any longer. Ooh! Bottom of the deck is the Queen of Wands in reverse. Oh, thinks, do you know we channeled Anne Boleyn ages ago? I'm sure in that, I'm just scratching my nose, not a bogey. I'm sure in that video she said she had a dabble with magic. I think Anne possibly did have a dabble with magic because the Queen of Wands is at the root of this. Okay. Now, this can be in many different ways because, karma and all of that. But also, as well, this is the taking down of another queen, her feeling weakened. When you're like that, upright, you're in your power and your creativity. When you're like that, you can't really do anything to help yourself. So there could even be like an incapacitated energy here. And being shown her legs and at the top of the calves, and there was a weakened feeling. Don't know what that could be. Three of Cups in reverse. So the midwives, specialists. I know they wouldn't have been specialists, but that's the word I'm using. They hadn't got a clue. They hadn't got a clue. I also feel as well there was oh, right. So when he was born as a king, when he was born as a future king, the court went into celebration. So they took the eye off the ball of the Queen. Sounds about right. So as the court's partying and everyone's like, oh, it's a boy, thank fuck for that. We're not going to get beheaded, as you would. It's They take the eye off the ball and she's ill and she goes down really quickly. No one's watching her. Out in the cold. Upright, you can see they're limping, they're injured. Possibly even left. We don't want to think of it, do we? That she can give birth like that and just be left. There's one in particular midwife I'm seeing that was she's sleeping a lot, she's not watching her. Possibly older, so her experience and her medical knowledge isn't that good. Queen of Cups around her. This I feel is Henry's mother. Um, so that would be Elizabeth. Not Elizabeth the First, obviously, but Elizabeth, the White Queen, White Princess. Elizabeth of York. God, Claire. There's that many, isn't there? These names. Elizabeth of York around her, but also as well, her own there's a female guide around her as well. And other queens. Joan of Arc's a guide for Jane. The men and their needs and emotional needs. And that is placed under that. So the king's got what he's want. The system's got what they want. They're partying, they're drunk, they're having a ball, they're celebrating. She's dying very quickly. The past. Ooh. I tipped it up because this always reminds me of Hever Castle. And I thought this reminds me of Anne and George. And I'm feeling that in her delirium, but we know better than that. We know it will have been spirit. She actually saw the spirits of Anne and her brother George. Um, oh God, was it not nice, is it? Um, the Knight of Pentacle. There was possibly some cancerous cells or precancerous cells within the womb area as well. I also feel as well a tincture or a medicine that was given to her was not ideal and possibly exacerbated what was going on with her. Um, Four of Cups became unresponsive very quickly after that medicine. So someone goes out and gives her a medicine, a potion, I don't know, something. See, the king, bless his little heart, liked to make his own medicines apparently, which apparently was meant to be quite good at it. So there's a medicine that's given to her that makes her unresponsive. Yes, and it's the end. I don't feel it was that. Let's have a clarifier for that Knight of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles energy, death and rebirth. Does it feel as though somebody gave her something? Why would somebody want to bump her off though? Let's tune into that. That person that gave her the medicine. I'm seeing I'll call it a herbalist, a witch, a female medicine woman, around about the place where Jane goes into birth, into labor. And it just feels as though this tincture medicine, um, oh, I see, it feels seedy to me. I'll tell you what I'm feeling. It's the person that's doing it has an affinity to Catherine of Aragon. So it could have been a poison that was a or giving her a medicine. But you know what we said about mugwort was given to them. Now, mugwort can make you bleed. So if you're pregnant, they always say to you, don't take mugwort. Now, if I took a cup of mugwort right now, it's just like a herbal tea. You wouldn't know, I wouldn't smell, I wouldn't collapse. I'd just have a drink of mugwort. But my next period could be really heavy. Yeah. Or if I'm pregnant, I could lose it. Something similar here, either intentionally or not, but she's unresponsive and then death comes. So can we talk about what's happening now? Oh. So, as her lifetime as Chelsea Davy, and she walked away from Harry, didn't she, in this current lifetime? What did she learn? What did she learn from that lifetime as Jane Seymour and then comes back in I mean, she will have had lifetimes before that as well. In between, that's what I mean. What did she learn? Am I going to change decks? I might change decks. We'll do two or three cards from this deck and then we'll change. That whatever she gets involved with has to be of joy. So this fella here, again, if you're going on a first date and you come to your Auntie Claire for a reading and I say this is a first date you're going on, you could get engagement and all of that. It's almost like I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and I'm not going back to that. If I'm going to meet someone and settle down long term with someone, he's got to be of joy. And she saw the joy was in reverse. So it gave off those warning signs within her that there was a lot going on there emotionally, a lot I hadn't been balanced, made peace with. That also was well interesting. Nine of Pentacles in reverse. A lack of self. I said that he didn't have it. I'm feeling he didn't have the ability to be a good life partner for Chelsea, Harry, as in, yes. He just couldn't do it. He couldn't, not that he couldn't provide, but he couldn't be that lifelong partner that she wanted. It was almost like, wait a minute, it's like almost like a dream coming true of we've been here before and it never worked, so why would it work now? No, 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 we're not going to do that again, lovers in reverse. I've had to come into contact with you to clear this, but now I've cleared it, I'm gone. I've cleared it. Judgment in reverse. It's too deep, it's too dark, it's too dangerous. I'm going to make a decision going forward. This is my wake up call. Um, I'm not going to deal with the King of Wands in reverse. If you've been watching me a while, you know this comes in as Henry VIII and Harry gets the King of Wands a lot. Having to balance again different personalities, coldness, hotness, coldness, hot-headed, being quite cutting, possibly cutting remarks. She's saying his, as in Harry's actions started to be very similar to Henry's. Now, I don't think woman at Chelsea was aware of the physical level of this, but this is about the energy. And as a woman in the modern age, she wants more, the star card upright. So she steps back. Let's do three cards to bring this reading to a close. The star card. I'm going to reach higher. I'm going to heal. I'm going to make something. I'm going to put that down because it's got boobies on it. I'm going to make something of my life. I'm going to clear that karma. I'm going to be my own queen. I'm going to cut through all those cords. I'm going to take my destiny forward. I'm going to fly free. I'm going to follow my dreams. I'm going to live in a world where I can fulfill my dreams, where I'm not going to be part of a structure or a system that wants to suppress me. Because there is still that energy within that system. You know, the souls that go into that, they can't really sing free. They can't fly free just yet. But that's what I want. The Page of Wands, to be who I want to be, to wear me Converse, to wear what I want to be, to eat to have the life that she wants. Not to be waiting to be told what to do, what to eat, how to sit, how to play, or to deal with someone that could be emotionally avoidant. She wanted to have something new, a clear, fresh start, away from the illusion, where she could embrace being herself and make a life on her own terms. Just moving these so I don't knock them off the desk. And that's it. So the next queen will be Anne of Cleves. Okay, so that will be the fourth queen. Ooh, we're getting through these queens quite quickly. If you've got to the end of this video and you would like to leave a comment but not sure what to put, leave me a star emoji in the comment section. There is a playlist on this YouTube channel, CTGT Tarot, and it's called Historical Royal Tarot Readings, where you can work your way through them and catch up on them. Also, as well, there is CT Royal Tarot, which is another playlist on here where you can work through those readings. Thank you for watching. Love to all. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.